the lineal boxing heavyweight world champion and the reigning WBC heavyweight champion of the world, known as the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury.
Well, here comes Tyson Fury, the WBC and lineal heavyweight world champion, the world champion of boxing, of course, taking on the lineal MMA heavyweight champion. And as ever, as you expect, Tyson really feeling himself and enjoying every moment like he has done so far in Fight Week, Andy.
This is what he lives for, isn't it? Quite simply. He loves the energy of Fight Week. He loves the build up to Fight Week. I get the feeling that he's one of these rare performers who actually enjoys camp because he knows what's coming at the end of it. He's addicted to this stage, and I think most top level performers in any sport, but particularly in boxing, it really is an addiction, and that's why it can be hard when it comes to an end. But whilst it's going, whilst it's in full flow, there is absolutely nothing like it.
Well, that was quite a combo we just saw from Tyson Fury. I saw a left, I saw a right, I saw a knee, I saw a headbutt. Some of that stuff you can do in MMA, some of it you actually can't do anywhere. The headbutt, I'm not sure that's actually allowed, Andy Clark, but he's feeling himself, isn't he?
He is, he absolutely is. He expects to win on Saturday, and he expects to win comfortably.
Yeah.
And we expect him to win as well. But there's something else at play here, of course, which is that fight against Usyk on the 23rd of December. So he has to come through this in good fashion. He doesn't want to be picking up any head clashes and cuts. He doesn't want to be picking up any kind of injury, because he's got, 8 weeks between the two fights? So with that in mind, it does play a part, or at least it could play a part on Saturday. I don't think it'll affect tactics or his mindset or his approach, because you can't let that kind of thing cloud you. But at the same time, it's not quite as simple as just get the win, because he's got to come out of the ring in good enough condition to get back in there if they're to deliver that fight on the day that we expect them to, in good shape.
Yeah, and listen, we've just spoken to Francis Ngannou. That's a guy confident. That's a guy who knows what he can do. He's always been so assured of himself. He's not just here to take part, take a few photos, and dance around. I mean, literally, he didn't want to dance in the ring. He didn't actually want to show us anything in the ring. So that's a man with a quiet confidence here, looking to really cause the upset and shock the world on Saturday night like he always does. But, it'll be up to Tyson to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And you listen to Francis talk, and what kind of resonates from him is that he's been somebody who's been at the top of the sport, the combat sport, for a really long time. So he's a realist. He's not going to indulge in a load of absolute nonsense talk, the like of which I felt we did hear from Conor McGregor in the build-up to the Floyd Mayweather fight. Each to their own. He went about it slightly differently. He wears that cape of utter invincibility and supreme confidence and bombast basically at all times. Someone like Ngannou is slightly different, a slightly quieter demeanour, but the determination and the will and drive to succeed that he's had to make it from where he came from to where he is, it can never be underestimated. The only way I see this going wrong for Fury on Saturday is if he underestimates his opponent.
Yeah.
It's always a possibility. It is always a possibility, because you can do all the training, you can do all the groundwork, you can do all the runs, but if you just don't have that slight little knot of fear in your stomach that it could go wrong, then that can translate into the kind of performance that can lead to problems.
Yeah, well, it's exactly that. But he is absolutely adamant, Tyson Fury, that he hasn't underestimated Francis Ngannou, that he is treating him with so much respect. He put in a 12-week camp for this, talked about how for the third Deontay Wilder fight, I think he only got 5 weeks. He had all sorts going on, but he only got 5 weeks to actually train for that fight. And look what happened. I mean, it was a brilliant, pulsating fight, but he did have to taste the canvas in that. So he is giving all the respect in the world here to Francis Ngannou, and he appreciates that he's got a guy in front of him coming to take his head off.
And I think as well that what's at stake here, that 23rd of December date potentially, that should serve to be enough in terms of motivation to guard against a a lackluster display or committing that cardinal sin of underestimating your opponent. So if that date wasn't there and wasn't set, and it was maybe sometime next year, or that deal hadn't even been done or really spoken about, then I think that would be a little bit more of a factor potentially. But as it is, I think we're pretty safe from that.
Well, we are joined by Mr. Tommy Fury, the KSI conqueror, the Jake Paul conqueror. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, mate. I'm happy to be in Saudi again. I mean, obviously, I'm not fighting Jake Paul. It's Tyson's show. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm enjoying it, loving it already. What an atmosphere.
What an atmosphere. And look, as a brother, that's your brother there, right? You must be beaming with pride that he is able to do a fight like this. He's fighting Francis Ngannou, a massive crossover fight. He's really a man at the top of his game right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a massive, like you said, a crossover fight. I'm used to them now. But what an atmosphere. I mean, that's what this is to me. This is an event. As far as the fight goes, it's Tyson's fight. He's going to dictate everything in there. I think, most people know that. It's Francis' first boxing fight, and he's fighting the best to ever do it. So it's a very big ask, but I just genuinely think whenever Tyson wants it to be over, it will be.
But he is taking it seriously, isn't he? That's what it seems like. We've seen at the launch press conference, he was bigger, he was heavier. Looking at him today, he's in good shape. It looks like he's taking it very seriously, Tommy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's put in more weeks and more weeks of training than he did for Deontay Wilder. That just shows what you're dealing with right there. These guys who are not traditional boxers, they're harder to fight than traditional boxers because you don't know what's going to come. We don't know what Francis is going to do in there. He's never had a fight before. How do you prepare for someone like that? So he's very switched on. This is the sharpest I've ever seen him. I think he's going to go out there on Saturday and put on, a dominant performance, as we all know he should, but he's going to enjoy it and he's going to give every paying customer the value.
Well, listen, you can actually give us a bit of an insight into that in terms of fighting someone. When you're fighting a boxer, there's only a certain amount of things that they're going to do, that they've been taught, that they've been schooled with. When you're fighting someone who is only just coming to boxing, like a KSI in your case, like a Francis Ngannou in Tyson's case, it can be a bit awkward, Tommy.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, as you've seen with me the other week, KSI, he was doing star jumps in the ring, he was running around, he was hanging on to me, he was doing everything but box. So, these guys, they're hard to prepare for, but Tyson's a veteran of the game, and, Tyson will adapt in there. To whatever Francis comes, Tyson will adapt. And I'm pretty sure, my verdict for the fight is, I think Tyson stops Ngannou. I do think he can get it, if he wants to, under 4 rounds.
One thing we were saying that's quite interesting about this too is that with that 23rd of December date in mind, he needs to win and win clean, as in no head clashes, no cuts, no injuries, and that's a slightly different aspect to a fight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, I think if the Usyk fight wouldn't have been there in December, he might have, got the rounds out, had a play about, played up for the cameras and whatnot. But you don't want to risk anything, especially with a massive unification fight looming. So I think now the fight in December, I think if he can get it done in 1 round, he'll get it done in 1 round. Because the last thing he needs, 8 weeks before the biggest fight, is a cut, is a niggle, is an injury. So I think he's going to go in there and he's going to look to get it done early.
Well, he is the second Fury to fight in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It looks like this is where you guys fight now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I want my next fight in Saudi. I love Saudi Arabia. They treat us like kings every time we come here, and it's just absolutely amazing. Who wouldn't want to fight? I mean, look at the atmosphere. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. It's been a fantastic week so far. And Andy, just to confirm, we're not expecting any star jumps from Francis Ngannou on Saturday, are we?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't put Francis Ngannou and KSI in the same bracket.
Neither would I, definitely not. I'd rather fight KSI every day of the week than Francis Ngannou.
Just one question about Tyson's weight. It's always seemed to me that with heavyweights we get obsessed with their weight to a point that isn't really that useful. Am I right in thinking that he's a kind of character who, if he wants to manipulate his weight on the day, he can do it quite easily, just in terms of what he chooses to eat and drink or not eat and drink that day, and just he can mess with us a little bit if he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, the heavyweights, heavyweights are heavyweights for a reason. They don't need to focus on weight. Tyson's boxing at a weight he feels comfortable at, and there's no need for him to get down in weight. There's no need for him to gain weight. Whatever he feels comfortable at during training camp, that's what he'll fight at. But his weight's bang on. He feels amazing. So roll on Saturday. We're all ready to go.
He's talked about having 10 more fights. I mean, it was only like this time last year he was talking about retiring. Do you think he's serious? Do you think he wants 10 more fights, Tommy?
Listen, Tyson changes like the wind, I don't know. You just got to enjoy him while he's here, because I know he's the best to ever do it. And when he's gone, he'll be very missed, because who else is doing these sort of shows? Nobody. He's at the pinnacle of the sport. He's been there for a long time now, and everyone needs to enjoy it and witness the greatest while he's here, because I think Tyson will only get his true respect when he's gone.
What is it about him that makes him the best heavyweight in the world? What has he got that the others haven't?
He's got everything. He's got size, speed, movement, power, range. He can box orthodox, southpaw. He can fight going forward. He can fight going back. You know, no other heavyweight on the planet has the full package, and that's why Tyson's the best. And he's going to prove that on Saturday, as he should, and he's going to look good doing it.
Sounds like quite a tall task for Francis Ngannou, Tommy.
It's a tall order, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm sure Francis is having a whale of a time. I mean, you know, Francis is a part of this also. You know, this is his show also, so I'm sure he's soaking up everything. And these are moments in time. It's a great moment. You know, if you know Francis, whatever happens on Saturday, he's still been a part of this, and it's been an amazing thing to be a part of.
Just on Francis, I know you're a guy who likes like a good story, and you've got admiration for people. Yeah. Francis Ngannou was homeless, right? He kind of got away from Cameroon. He wasn't expected to. He wasn't expected to become a UFC heavyweight champion. Yeah. He's been making the impossible possible his whole life. You must have some admiration for that, Tommy.
Oh, 100%. I like Francis. I mean, I think he's a lovely guy, and what he's done already, he's already won. He's already won. You know, from achieving the heavyweight title in the UFC to coming here, getting a very good payday, which he deserves. You know, fighting one of the best to ever do it. You know, he's already won. The things that he's done and accomplished already, no other UFC person has. So I'll take me off to him, and may the best man win on Saturday.
When are we going to see you again?
I don't know. I'm going to enjoy my food, especially over here. You know, I've had 2 fights this year. You know, obviously I'd love to be more active, but these fights are what they are. And you know, I think early next year, I'm looking to get back out.
All right, well, great speaking to you, Tommy Fury. We'll let you go. Go and enjoy the show.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. Well, there is Tommy Fury. I'll tell you, the insight about fighting someone who's not necessarily used to boxing, I think that's quite insightful there. Obviously, look, there's levels between Francis Ngannou and KSI, but fundamentally, it's still someone who hasn't necessarily had all those years of being taught the fundamentals of boxing.
No, it's a reasonable point. It's a decent point. I see it in the amateurs quite a lot sometimes, in the preliminary rounds of a World Championships, for example. I saw quite a lot of it a couple of years ago, where you had a fighter, a well-scored, very experienced fighter, in against someone with nothing like the same amount of experience, and they're pulling off all these manoeuvres that you haven't seen for a long, long time, and you have to take your time to have a little bit of a look at it. So I do think he'll do that on Saturday, because, as I say, the danger is when you're in against someone that unorthodox, arms and legs in places you don't normally expect them, and heads, that something could happen. You could get tangled up, you could put your shoulder out, you know, anything's possible in there. And I think Tommy's right. He won't want to hang around, but I think he will stop, have a look, see if he can pick up the read of him, the beat of him, and then look to put him away, because there's too much at stake here to be looking to try and carry anyone or anything like that. I feel Floyd Mayweather did that against Conor McGregor for me. I absolutely think he did. He could have finished him at any point after having a little bit of a look, but carried him into the later rounds. You can't be doing that here, because there's too much on the line.
Way too risky, and also with Conor McGregor, you know, he's a lighter man. You know, when you've got Francis Ngannou, who hits harder than anyone in the world, apparently, according to Guinness Book of World Records. As I keep reminding you, Andy Clark, you know, it's a big risk to take. And Andy, I can see so many faces around here. You know what we're going to do? We're going to send you for a walk, my friend. Go on, go get him. Go get him, Andy Clark.
Okay, so there are plenty of people wandering around ringside. I just need to see if there's any particular direction I should go in here. I'm just skirting across the right-hand side behind the banks of photographers, over to the corner of the ring. One of the Fury brothers just sitting away to my right-hand side. Joseph Parker milling around, Andy Lee as well. So I'll just head down towards the corner, and lots of dignitaries as well. Lots of dignitaries. Okay, I'm being ushered this way. We're taking the long way round, the long route. Solomon Dakers, good to see you.
See you again.
How are you enjoying the atmosphere?
It's lovely, man. It's, you know, look at it. Great production I've got here. It's next level, man. It's good that it's nice and warm on the evening.
So have you been part of Team Fury during the build-up?
Yeah, I've been, you know, in the gym sparring in Morecambe, you know, for the last 4 weeks. You know, getting down and dirty, doing the hard yards. Yeah, man, we're working hard.
And how have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been a good experience for me. You know, the sparring first and foremost, you know, is what it is, hard work. And then coming over here, you know, you get to enjoy things like this, great atmosphere, great production, you know, and I'm just soaking it all up.
And we were just talking about the fight itself, and we all know that Fury is a massive, massive favourite. Full respect for Ngannou for taking him on his own turf. But he cannot, firstly, underestimate him. I don't believe that he will. But secondly, he does have to try and win this fight and win it clean without any mishaps or injuries because of the date that's looming. And with all of that in mind, you know, it's going to be a seek and destroy mission, you'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's prepared for this just like it's any other, you know, top world title contender. You know, we've been sparring hard, doing the rounds, 12 rounds, you know, 15 round sessions. He's not going to take his eye off the ball. He knows with these guys that are not boxers, they can be awkward, they can be tricky, and he's got power, you know, he's a massive heavyweight. So, you know, he's going to be very switched on in there, but I don't think he said himself, if he gets caught, if he gets hurt or whatever happens, he's got to win this fight. Don't matter what's in the future, he'll do what it takes to make sure he puts on a performance here first and foremost.
Okay, just before I let you go, you're the reigning English heavyweight champion currently, so you'll be very interested in the fight between Fabio Wardley and David Adelaide for the British and Commonwealth.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I'm here. You know, my eyes are really on that fight, to be honest. The winner of that fight, I want to be the next one in line there because I believe that British title is something I can take in my next fight, you know, after that. So, got my eye on that very, very closely.
Okay, thanks very much. Always good to catch up with you. Okay, so I'm just being marshalled into a seat next to Shane Fury. Shane, you're a veteran of these big fight weeks now. Has this one been any different to others?
I think it's the press-wise and everything else. I think it's been much bigger than what we've ever seen, I believe. But you're looking at, in my opinion, probably the greatest heavyweight in history. Might be a bit biased, but even the haters, he's there for an argument, isn't he? Look at the way we can move. He's 20 stone now. Come on, unbelievable.
Do you feel like he's reached the peak of his powers yet, or is there more to come?
I don't know. At 35, how much more is there to come? We're realist. 35, he's not showed no decline yet, but at 35, he might go overnight. But at the minute, through the camp, he's done everything what's been asked of him, and done it well as well.
Well, it's an incredible ride that he's on, and he continues to take us on it. The second half of this year, the Netflix series, this, and then the date looming at the end of the year, I don't think anyone's really had a run like that.
No, he is a big star at the minute, isn't he? But he's had his ups and he's had his downs, and I think it's all developed and it's all made what he is now. It's built the character. All the negatives and all the positives has actually built the character what you're seeing at the minute.
Okay, Shane, thanks very much.
Cheers, mate.
Always a pleasure. So I'll just slide along to my right-hand side and just sidle in next to Big John Fury. John, like Shane, you're a veteran of these fight weeks, of these build-ups now. Has this one been any different?
No, it's been a marvellous occasion. It's exceptional, magical. But when you look at the man performing there, just moving around the ring, you can use his class, you know. I've no doubt in my mind, you know, what's going to happen, but, you know, it's a spectacle again. But you never know in boxing. It's the strangest game in the world. But you're looking at the best heavyweight in the last 50 to 60 years. And the way he's moving around there now, I'm not a bit worried, to be honest with you, no.
I mean, is there any kind of apprehension at all about Saturday? Because with the potential date of the 23rd of December in mind, I've been saying this to people the last 20 minutes or so, he needs to win and emerge completely unscathed, doesn't he? No cuts, no bruises, no nothing.
Well, yeah, the thing is, though, we're only looking at Francis Ngannou. Like I've said to him, concentrate on Saturday night. As far as we're concerned, the 23rd is not existing till after this Saturday night. Ngannou's got to be dealt with. He's got to be 100% focused, because all these men bring one thing: bombs. And if they land, it can be over. So he's got to focus on what he's got to do. We'll talk about the 23rd after Saturday.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much.
No worries, thank you.
I'll just weave back around to my left-hand side. I'm being shepherded towards the far side of the ring. Lots of people all on their feet round ringside. trying to get a view of Tyson Fury in action. He says he wants 10 more fights, but you just never know when you might get the opportunity to see him again, potentially. Took a good while to get his hands wrapped by Sugar Hill and get gloved up, but now just getting his gloves removed down at ringside, just nodding his head, moving those shoulders. And Sugar Hill, of course, in addition to the team after Okay, so let's bring in somebody now who can enlighten me on the MMA side of things, Caroline Pearce. So, Caroline, I'm a boxing person. Everybody I've spoken to really is from that side of the divide. Are we underestimating, or in your view, even disrespecting Francis Ngannou a bit?
I think a lot of people are, actually. You look at Francis Ngannou and he is the hardest hitter out there. I mean, we've seen the way he's floored people like Alistair Overeem within the UFC, Stipe Miocic. I mean, these are the best of the best within our sport. And I think even he's got the Guinness record in terms of hardest hitter. I know Tyson Fury hasn't been measured, and you know he can't really say that he's going to hit harder than him. But we're going to see. But with Francis Ngannou, from where he comes from Cameroon to Paris to where he is today now in Vegas, where he trains.
Actually, just tell us a bit about that, because the drive to succeed for someone like him, for a great champion, is absolutely huge. He's quite, I wouldn't say softly spoken, but he was quite phlegmatic when we spoke to him. But he's been through a lot, hasn't he?
He has, and I think in his mind, if he can survive what he survived to get to where he is today, he can do anything. And that's what he believes. And I just spoke to him a moment ago, actually, as he came out from this open workout. And I said, what's been Mike Tyson's advice to you? And he just said, Tyson Fury is just a man. Any man can be beaten. And my opinion is, I think Francis, don't necessarily try to box Tyson Fury. Go out there, make it awkward, make it uncomfortable. When you haven't fought an MMA fighter that boxes differently, there's a case to be made that those punches are come at you from different angles, and Tyson Fury has acknowledged that himself as well. So I think Francis has to use what he's got, what's different about him, and if he can land, he can knock anybody out.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much. Nice insight there from Caroline Pearce. I just pounced on my old pal Ziad Al Mayouf, who we spoke to yesterday again, the leading light of Saudi pro boxing at the moment. We've seen you a few times over the last few months. You're nice and close to the ring here, having a look at Tyson Fury. Is he a fighter you particularly admire?
It's just something you never get used to. Tyson Fury has always been an idol of mine, and I grew up watching him on TV. And for him to be in Saudi Arabia in front of my eyes right now is something, if you would have asked me 5, 7, 8 years ago and you told me would it happen, I'd tell you it's impossible. But anything is possible, I guess, in Saudi Arabia now and today.
Okay, Ziad, always good to see you. Always good to see you. Okay, let's just have a little bit more of a scout around. I think I might have run out of gas at ringside here just for the moment, so I'll slide back in behind the desk with Dev. Unless I've missed anyone out, I don't think I have. Everybody thronged around ringside, Dev.
I thought you was going to have to kick off there. He gave you a bit of a second take. I thought, are we going to see the fist fly of Andy Clark? But thankfully not. You've left it to the boxers. Well done.
No, it's always good fun. It's good fun roaming around, because there's people who turn up at ringside during fight week, during fight night, who you don't necessarily expect to see, and that's another aspect about Saturday, isn't it? The list of names that we've been hearing who are going to be there in attendance it's something else.
Yeah, I mean it's unbelievable. It's everyone who's everyone. Do you know what I mean? It's a case of some of the best heavyweights ever will actually be here watching this. And hey, you may be looking at one of the best heavyweights ever. I think you are. He will tell you that he is the #1 heavyweight of all time. I've seen interviews with him this week saying that he doesn't believe anyone can beat him. And I think we're getting a bit of an indication here. We saw him do pads orthodox. We saw him do pads effortlessly in southpaw as well. 6'9", 270, 280 pounds. A nightmare to fight for any heavyweight.
Yes, and that's always been the thing with him. And what's been really interesting about the last few years has not just been the comeback, which was incredible really, but it was a stylistic shift after that first fight against Wilder. I'll be honest, I thought he took that fight against Wilder the first time around as a cash out. I think he'd had the first couple of comeback fights. He maybe felt it wasn't really there anymore, or he didn't really know if it was there anymore, and decided that he needed to take a big one for big money in case he lost to a lesser name in the meantime, and then that fight would disappear. And I was totally and utterly wrong. And sometimes being wrong is the best thing, because this sport has a way of surprising you, and sitting up late tonight watching that was incredible. Watching him get off the canvas in the 12th round was absolutely extraordinary. And off the back of that, you felt like he would think, well, I so nearly beat him coming back in from the cold. I just need to box like I did again, have some better judging at ringside, and I can beat him. But instead, he decided to completely change style, change trainer, told us he was going to go out on a seek and destroy mission. I didn't really believe him, and then on the night, he absolutely battered Deontay Wilder. It was, again, it was quite something to see, and that's how he's gone about it since.
Yeah, he absolutely has. And in terms of that first Deontay Wilder fight, I think sometimes, just like in boxing, as we see him bad up Sugar Hill there, sometimes it's all about timing. Tyson Fury spent so long out of the ring, had a couple of warm-up fights. He was really a sleeping giant in the heavyweight division. The guys at the top were Deontay Wilder, they were Anthony Joshua, but they weren't fighting each other. An opening opened up. Tyson Fury was there, he said, I'll fight him, and he walked right towards the fire that is Deontay Wilder. And hey, over 3 fights, he most certainly put that fire out. I think he's proved his worth in terms of that trilogy will be remembered for decades and decades to come.
It will. I was at the third fight at the T-Mobile in Las Vegas, and it's the best fight I've ever commentated on, and I'm not sure I'll get a better one because of the way that it toed and froed. To have a truly great fight, it has to go one way and then the other. Wilder started fairly well, I thought, getting on the jab. He was heavier for that fight than we'd seen him previously, but then he got put down, and you thought to yourself, okay, here we go again. And then in the next round, he got up and put Tyson down twice.
Yeah.
And the second time, he's kind of staring, not exactly vacantly out of the ring, but he was staying down, waiting for his faculties to come back before he got back up. And this is the amazing thing about these athletes, is that they have that ability to hear the count, realise where they are physically and mentally, that they're not ready, but 2 seconds later they can be. And he managed to get through it.
Yeah.
And then just took over again. But right the way up until the very end, Wilder was capable of hurting him. He did hurt him towards the end of the 10th, I think, before really in the 11th, Deontay Wilder collapsed through exhaustion. And I had enormous admiration for him that night, because to come back and fight the way he did after what happened to him in the second fight, we talked about it with Joseph Parker earlier on. Wilder showed us that he has got that dog. Absolutely. You know, you have to literally carry him out of there. And I think Fury, whether he cares to admit it or not, you know, has got a lot of respect for Wilder.
Of course, and look, you talk about Wilder's got the dog. Well, Tyson Fury most certainly has the dog. We were talking about this on the journey up here. Sometimes you just get fighters who have it, who refuse to lose, who have to be knocked out in order to leave the ring. Tyson Fury has that, but the thing is, you can't knock him out because he just gets back up again, and he's showing that in his career. And one thing I want to touch on, what we've seen in this workout, he's sitting down on some of his punches, not doing it just now, but he was sitting down on some of them, almost breaking the hands of poor Sugar Hill in there. And I guess that's the new style of Tyson Fury, the one that boxed Vladimir Klitschko back in 2015, fleet of foot, moving about, boxing moving. It feels like we don't see that guy anymore. This is now a 20-stone destroyer.
Yeah, exactly. It's still there if he needs it, that movement. He's 35 now, and you never know. Maybe the feet aren't quite as quick as they used to be, but it looks like they are when you see him indulging himself in the ring like he has been over the course of the last few minutes. But what he wants is to give the public what they want, which is knockouts. So that's what boxing's about.
Yeah.
That's the currency of boxing, is the knockout. It's a brutal thing, and when you see one at ringside sometimes, it can make you wince. But let's not pretend. We come to boxing because we want to see people get knocked out. Not all of the time, because it would lose its value, but every now and again you see a thunderous knockout, and there is nothing like it. The adrenaline shot that goes around ringside is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants. That's what he wants to give people.
Well, that is now what he is delivering. He is on a streak of knockouts. Of course, Derek Chisora was just stopped. Before that, Dillian Whyte was just stopped. Deontay Wilder has been stopped twice. He keeps knocking out, and at a very good level as well. In terms of knocking out Deontay Wilder, we've talked about how hard that was. and he does it on the big stage. Look, he's enjoying himself here as well. If ever there was a man born for this stage, I think we're looking at him, Andy. It is Tyson Fury.
It is. You get all sorts of different personalities in boxing, different kinds of confidence. But Fury's one of those true performers, and everything with him is a performance. He genuinely enjoys this. And I think that's why when he dabbled with retirement, he realised that it wasn't really going to work, because this is just too much fun.
Well, let's hear now from the one and only Tyson Fury.
Tyson, what would you like to say to all the great boxing fans watching around the world?
Are you ready for a war? I'd just like to say to everybody as well, thank you for turning out to see me tonight in the great kingdom of Saudi Arabia. What a place. How about this? I'm on fire. I feel fantastic. I'm 35 years young, and I'm ready to knock a motherfucker out. Get up!
Have a classic Tyson Fury. Are you ready for a war? I mean, he looks ready for a war. I don't know if he's actually hoping to go to war on Saturday with Francis Ngannou. I think we're going to head back to Thomas Treiber very shortly. Well, we're hoping to grab a quick chat with Tyson Fury. Once he's done here, he's worked up a bit of a sweat. A nice little workout for him. We talked about how Francis Ngannou didn't want to show anyone anything. Tyson showed us a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think so. With someone like Fury, we know what he can do. Basically, we know that he can do everything, and that's not just trying to flatter him, that's just a fact. He can do it any which way. He's demonstrated that, so he can get up in there, and there don't need to be any games. He doesn't need to try and play with anybody. If anything, he could try and intimidate his opponent by showing him the full array.
Yeah.
If Ngannou's stuck around to watch this, just looking around, I don't think he has. I don't think he would really feel the need to be honest. So whilst Francis Ngannou, as you say, didn't want to show us too much, Fury could just get up there and enjoy himself, and that's exactly what he did.
Well, he's a man who's enjoying himself. I wonder how the press conference is going to go tomorrow. At the launch press conference, as I said, it was quite respectful, it was quite cool, quite calm, until Tyson Fury started talking about how he could beat him up in a cage. So I wonder if the press conference tomorrow will pick up at the same kind of pace that the last one finished. And if we start talking about cage fighting, cage duels, well, Francis Ngannou might have an awful lot to say about how he would deal with Tyson Fury, let alone in a boxing ring, which he intends to do on Saturday.
I think Fury's the kind of guy, basically, whatever context he's in, he wants somebody to come back at him. He wants a tussle. You know, he wants a verbal spar if that's all that's available, which is all that will be available to him tomorrow. He wants you to give him something and to entertain. And, you know, we talk about dance partners in the ring, but outside the ring you need them too. And I do feel like the best way to deal with him is to just turn in your dance card and walk out the door, because if you try and tangle with him on that setting,
you're not going to win.
You're not going to win. Wilder knew that by the third fight.
Put headphones on.
He opted out. Dillian White knew that, so he never turned up for anything. I understand it. It's smart, but that's not what this event is.
Yeah.
That it is required of Francis Ngannou to fulfil all his obligations, and there was never any potential for him not doing so. As for how he handles Fury, maybe he'll find him easier than most, because, as I say, he is at the top of the tree in his own sport.
Well, Tyson Fury is orchestrating here a big team photo. He looks pretty happy with how it's going. He takes his place. He takes a pose. Let's get some snaps. Now that is a solid team. You can see there Joseph Parker, part of the camp. Tommy Fury, of course, with a tank top on. Big Brendan, big security, who follows him everywhere he goes. It's a big team. They got a big task. They got a big few months ahead of them. If, of course, we've got Ngannou on Saturday, and all the talk is about Alexander Usyk at the end of the year as well. This team, this man, they're going to be very, very busy indeed.
They are, and talking to his dad, John Fury, his take on it was, look, as far as we're concerned, December the 23rd doesn't even exist. I understand that as an approach, as a policy, it's a sound one, but it doesn't really work. It's impossible because we do know about December the 23rd, and you can try and put it out of your mind as much as you like, but it's there. It's a real thing. But I don't expect it to have too much bearing. But I do think, as discussed with Tommy, that it will mean that there will be no playing in there. There will be no playing in there because he needs to just take care of business and move on.
Yeah, absolutely that. And we see Tyson Fury getting a few selfies in. We are trying to coax him out of the ring for a quick word. He's already addressed the crowd here. He has told them, well, he has asked them, are you ready for a war? The crowd responded essentially yes with a roar. I think the crowd are ready for a bit of a war. I don't know if we'll get one. I'm not sure what we're going to get on Saturday. But the one thing with Tyson Fury is you just never know. And there's so much intrigue.
That's true. I feel like Ngannou, as Caroline Pearce was saying, what Ngannou can't do is go in there and give us a poor imitation of Tyson Fury. That would be completely pointless.
He can't try and box him, right?
He can't try and box him. That would be just, there's no percentage in that. So I'd imagine he's devised some kind of game plan which he feels will upset Fury, confuse Fury, and then he's just going to have to try and unload. Just saying it makes me realise how difficult it's going to be, but that absolutely is what he has to try and do.
Well, look, that's where perhaps the person who's saying it can help. I'm sure Andy Clark, if you told him, hey, well, you got to do this, you got to do that, maybe it won't have the same impact as Mike Tyson telling him what he's got to do. So I guess, every inch counts, right? Every little helps. And I'd rather have Mike Tyson in my corner for a task like that than not have him.
No, that's absolutely right. And there's going to be other people that he'll be able to have spoken to during the weeks. This is quite interesting because he's spending a long time in the ring there. They've got the towel wrapped around his neck. If you're the trainer, if you're Sugar Hill, you probably want to get him out of here as quick as you can now. We don't, obviously, because we need him to come down here and talk to us. But when you get a sweat on in the way that he has, what you don't want is him cooling down too much. So they've got that towel around his neck to try and make sure that doesn't happen. But, I wonder what it's really like training Tyson. In one sense, it should be amazing because you've got so much to work with and he knows his own body really, really well. But in another sense, he does seem pretty uncontrollable.
Yeah, well, I think Tyson Fury is going to come and join us. We've got our man on the ground, Matt Rich, directing, trying to bring him in. And I think we will hear from the Gypsy King, from the WBC World Heavyweight Champion, very, very shortly. I think he's got a few gloves to sign, a few babies to kiss, as you do as a World Heavyweight Champion. Photos here and there. Selfies galore, but you expect that. If you are Tyson Fury, you are going to be stopped at every corner, every moment for a photo. And let's have a chat with the man himself. Tyson, how are you?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. What a pleasure to be here tonight with you guys.
You look like you love that. Absolutely loved it.
I'm having fun in there. It's what it's about, winning heavyweight champion of the world, in his element, having fun, in Saudi Arabia, in the sunshine, in the heat. Does it get any better?
I didn't think we were going to get you out the ring because you did about 20 minutes at the end. They was like, we're going to bring him in. We're going to bring him in. I was like, when? You was enjoying it in the ring afterwards.
Yeah, I was enjoying myself. We're in fight week. I'm all rested and I'm all energised. I'm ready to rock and roll. I feel like I'm rewinding the clock back to my earlier days.
Did you watch Francis Ngannou's workout?
I didn't know. It doesn't really bother me what he does, to be fair.
Well, he didn't show anything.
I'm the best version of me, and if he can deal with that, good luck to him.
He didn't really show us anything, did he, Andy?
No, not particularly. We spoke to him afterwards and he said that he deliberately wasn't, doing too much. And when we spoke to him yesterday, he said that he hasn't really studied you too much. He's just been concentrating on himself as well.
It's usually the best idea. But I'm in there floating like a butterfly. 19 stone, can you believe that? And 6'9". I'm moving like that. Wow, that's shocking. It's not fair, is it, really?
There was a moment in there, Tyson, where I saw you do a little bit of this, a little bit of red rag to the bull. Is that what's happening on Saturday?
That's what's happening. He's the bull, I'm the matador. 99.99% of the time, the matador wins.
Let me tell you a quote that he said. Just bring your mic up a tad. He said that he's doing you a favour, by the way, by having this fight with you because you wouldn't go over to the MMA world and fight him there. So him coming here is doing you a favour. Thoughts?
Okay, that's a good quote, but let me give you a quote now. Francis Ngannou is a big fat sausage. How about that? Have we ever seen the man take his top off? No. He's a big fat sausage.
I kind of suspect he's probably in quite a good shape, though, isn't
I
he?
think he's a big fat sausage. That's why he won't take his top off. He's embarrassed of his body.
Well, I guess we're going to find out.
Honestly, believe it.
We'll find
if it
out.
was up to Francis, he would fight me with his t-shirt on. Facts.
I think he's in great shape. He looked in tremendous shape.
I
there.
don't. I think he's a big fat sausage. You want to see a man in good shape? Hold that.
Come on, let's see it.
This is a man in good shape. Ready to do fucking 30 rounds. That's a man in good shape there. Boom! That's a man in shape. That's what you call shape. This man is fit for 25 rounds, non-stop. That's fit.
Anyone who's saying that you haven't taken this fight seriously, well, look at the shape you're in now. Compare it to what you were in at the press
Look
conference.
at the shape I'm in. I'm ripped. I'm an Adonis, and I'm ready for a fight.
Tyson, we won't keep you any longer. I know you're ready for a fight. Tell me one thing though. You asked everyone here, are you ready for a war? Are you expecting a war?
Yeah, if it's not, then I'll be disappointed. I told you that already. I've trained for 12, well, I've got to say 12 rounds, because I'm a 12-round fighter, but 10 rounds or less. And if it's anything easier, then I've had an easy night. But if not, then I'm prepared for battle, no matter how I get it.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone enjoy Fight Week more than you.
Nobody.
Mean, this is your addiction, isn't it?
Yes, I am addicted. I'm 35 years old. I've got in excess of 150 million in my account. I don't need to be here to box. I love this, and I get paid for it. Come on!
Drop that mic, Tyson.
Peace
Off
out.
you go. Off you go. WBC and lineal world heavyweight champion, the one and only Tyson Fury.